Steve Dalachinsky.
You want me to sing? I can sing it if you want.
Yeah, you want to?
Leave it. Oh, good.
This is actually the unadulterated version of a story that appears in a book I have in the back that Ron and Otana Media helped get republished, but this is the actual stories. Lester was a jazz musician. He hung around my head shop a lot and was always out of work. He played stand-up bass, flute, and tenor. He dug Pettiford, Carter, Richard Davis, Charles Lloyd, and Train. But the cat he personally knew and idolized was Sonny Rollins. Lester knew I loved jazz and would drop by my place to speak on it. One day he asked if he could use the phone. I said, sure, it's not long distance, is it? He said, no, just calling Brooklyn to speak to Sonny. Sonny, I mused. You mean? Yes, he said, Nuke. I found this hard to believe, but went along with it anyway. He dialed, waited, and when the phone was picked up at the other end, started talking. Suddenly he said, wait, Sonny, I have a friend here who'd like to say hello. I grabbed the phone in a disbelief and I said, hello? And a rich, deep voice answered, hi. I recognized it immediately and stammered about what an honor it was to talk to him. We spoke a couple of minutes and I returned the phone to Lester, who said something quick and then ended by saying, okay, Sonny, okay, I'll speak to you soon. Lester was 22, so was I. White, bright, Jewish, short. So was I. Good looking, and a dope fiend. He was a real heavy dope fiend. He was a nice guy, but a bit of a weasel, so was I. And always had a hard time making and keeping friends, so do I. When he wasn't busy getting high or making or talking music, he was busy hustling or hassling people. He and I got close for a while after my old lady split. Lester'd come over my apartment and we'd put on Dolphy or something and get really fucked up on goofballs and junk. Sometimes he'd even crash at my place. Once when my ex-old lady dropped into the store, she'd heard I was getting high and was very worried. Lester came around the same time. He had with him a quantity of LPs that he wanted to sell because he needed the cash. They were mostly, you guessed it, Sonny Rollins originals from his personal collection. I looked him over, then asked, are you sure you want to part with these, man? This is your wife. He smiled, a timid smile, said he needed the bread and that he couldn't think of anyone he'd rather see own them. I gave him a reasonable sum and he thanked me. Can I use the bathroom, man? Sure, I said. About 10 minutes later, my ex got jumpy. Go see what he's doing in there, will you?
Yeah.
I knocked on the door. Lester. 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 Yeah, wait a minute. Lester. I pulled the unlocked door open. There was Lester sitting on the can with a huge spike in his hand, trying to find the vein, of which there were very few left. I snatched it away from him in disgust. Please, he pleaded. I'm sick. I'm really sick. Being of late in similar circumstances myself, I returned to works, whispering, but let's make it look good for the chick. Sure, he whimpered. All right, I shouted. Clean up and get the fuck out of here. Get out of here quick, man, and never come back. Soon he reemerged, scratching and stoned, said thanks and split. After that incident, Lester disappeared. I nor anyone else had seen him for months. It was rumored that he had found some rich old lady uptown and was shacking up with her. But then the news came down from Bob, Lester's best friend, and maybe his only real friend. Lester had OD'd and was taken to Bellevue for treatment. After his recovery, he was acting really strange, they said, so the doctors got permission to keep him a couple of extra weeks for observation. After about 3 days, he was committed. And what happened? What happened to Lester? He was found dead, hanging by his belt in his room. They said it was suicide. And until this very day, I wonder. Lester had talent, and Lester was young. And you know, John Coltrane, a bitter wind blows through a love supreme, and people are still waiting for the ascension with their eyes closed and their ears stuffed and their mouths silenced. Kennedy, King, X. Kennedy, King, X. And now on a quick lighter note, Woodstock 69, Monica, this was the gal who came into the store. I saw you naked, showering in the rain in front of the trailer. The hippie tried to push some propaganda on us, but we preferred a bar of ivory soap. Dripping from the sky, we sloshed through the mud down to the lake and waded bare ass through the lilies and weeds. Monica. Hey, thank you, Kathryn, for always putting this stuff together.
Gil Fagiani.
Both these poems are taken from my new book, Logos, which I have copies for sale, and it chronicles my descent into heroin addiction and my resurrection. Democratic Convention, 1968. I snort all my stash in the bus bathroom on my way to Chicago to protest the war in Vietnam with my girlfriend, Nilsa. In the Windy City, Mayor Daley bans public rallies, marches, orders the National Guard to shoot and kill and maim. At the hostel where we stay, flowers are passed out to put in the soldiers' rifle barrels. In Lincoln Park, someone shouts, "Liberate the truck," and 100 hands steal everything edible. Beery breath cops clear Grant Park with searchlights mounted on street cleaners, fogging tear gas. Crashing barricades, we charge through Old Town, blocking traffic, breaking windows, pillaging souvenir shops. I ditched Nilsa at an MC5 concert, desperate for a dope dealer to keep me from having to kick cold turkey. Mobbed by bodyguards, Bobby Seale shouts, "We gotta barbecue some pork." Dillinger, militant nonviolence. Ginsberg intones, Marching with Flower Kong, I sucked down a half a pint of Wilson's, withering from waves of pain and nausea. On Michigan Avenue, police chant, "Kill, kill!" Beat protesters, reporters, bystanders, shove them through plate glass windows. Camera crews dodge lead-lined gloves, mace, rocks, gas canisters. Thousands roar, "The whole world is watching." On the return ride, I retch my guts into a steel can, dreaming of peace and a wine cap cooker. In the second poem, I used the word viejito, which is an endearing term for an old man in Spanish. And for the squares in the room, skag is heroin. Shooting dope with Trotsky. I score some hefty bags of skag from Old Man Cano on East 118th Street. The viejito, 40-plus years in the dope game, who once OD'd on Christmas Eve and leaned into a radiator, leaving a burn scar down the middle of his head. I rush to the East Village and buy a mess of Trotskyite newspapers, Vanguard, Fighting Worker, Theory and Practice, march into an NYU bathroom, lock myself up in a vast marble stall, and shoot Cano's sacks into my arm. After reading competing accounts of the 1921 Kronstadt Rebellion, the Minneapolis Teamster Strike of 1934, I nod off to the lullaby of the ABC of materialist dialectics, the negation of the negation of the negation.
Ptr Kozlowski.
Masters of war, you build a big gun, you build a death plane, you build a bomb, you want to know those younger than you. Even Jesus would never forgive what you do. Yet it never done nothing to build or destroy. Play with my world like it's your toy. You put a gun in my hand and you hide from my eyes. You turn and farther when the families fly. Fasten the bullets, others to fire. You sit back and watch as the death toll gets higher. You hide in your mansion, and young people's blood rolls out of their bodies and is buried in the mud. Let me ask you one question: is your money that good? Can it buy you forgiveness? Do you think that it could? I think that you'll find when your death takes its toll, all that money made will never buy back your soul. Hope that you die. Your death will come soon. Follow your casket on a pale afternoon. I watch as you're lowered down to your deathbed. I'll stand over your grave and make sure that you're dead.
Bernard Block.
Yeah, thank you, Kay, for putting this together, and Robin, of course. Two brief poems. Why I Am Not a Poet, a riff on Frank O'Hara's Why I Am Not a Painter, written in spring 2003, leading up to Shock and Awe. Why I am not a poet. I am not a poet. I am a non-poet. Why? I think I would rather be a pizza maker, but I am not. Well, for instance, Giuseppe Verdi is making a pizza. I drop in. You make great pizza, I say. This is not a pizza. I am not a pizza maker. You have anchovies in it, I say. No, these are not anchovies. In the room, the hobos come and go, singing just a gigolo everywhere I go. But me, I am not a poet. I am late night with Conan the barbarian, the pretzel from Texas who brought down the free world. I am death, I am no taxes, a black hole. Hello, Mullah. Hello, Fatwa. In the room, the poets come and go, singing, I am a real poet, I've got to go. One day I am thinking of the wind over the west wind. I fall upon the thorns of life, and I haven't mentioned pizza yet. And one day in a pizzeria, I see Joey Verdi's pizza with anchovies. It's called La Forza dell'Estino. And finally, and will the peacock take flight for Lawrence Ferlinghetti, poet? Constantly risking absurdity, back roads to far places, I am waiting sometime during eternity. Oh, peacock, beyond the mayhem and dismay, the wings that block the moon's slit ray, with sweetness sublime I sing the high prophet's song. Take flight, swoop down the sky, hurl birds who intimidate, who raise their head feathers in startled displays, in cerulean sky, shearing of sheep, allegory of innocence and guile, in Gethsemane night, Aurorian light. In the vale of three tears, tres lágrimas, la hora de sangre, in the hour of blood, sing your madrigal of madness over strand of despond. O peacock, journey to the end of night, and will the peacock take flight?
All right.
Tsaurah Litzky. I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no satisfaction. And I try, and I try, and I try. Thank you. Actually, this is about how I got satisfaction. The title is Honky Tonk Woman. It was 1966, late afternoon on a sunny December day in Berkeley, California. I was sitting in a hammock strung between two birch trees in the backyard of an old Victorian house on a quiet street, about to take my first acid trip.
All right.
I could not get any satisfaction as a honky-tonk woman in New York City. My boyfriend ran off to Paris to escape the draft. This guy that I picked up in Veselka's, when we got to my house, all he wanted to do was clean my toilets. The cute stud I met at a peace rally said he was 23. But when we got between the sheets, confessed he was 17 and a virgin. No satisfaction there. I was so lonely and blue. Then I got a letter from my ex-husband Seymour in Berkeley inviting me for a vacation, enclosing a check for round-trip airfare. He was a psychologist who, with two colleagues, ran a clinic, the Magic Man Institute. He wrote they got amazing results using LSD to unlock their clients' full potential. His colleagues were going on a 2-week field trip researching the brothels of Tijuana. So I'd have a bedroom of my own, no strings attached. I lit out for the coast. When I got there, Seymour starts haranguing me on the virtues of LSD, how you lose your inhibitions, realize your dreams. If we did it together, he said, we'd be in love forever. I told him this is a revolting idea and reminded him, he said, no strings. He apologized, promised he'd be the perfect gentleman. I reminded myself one of the reasons for divorcing him was he was a compulsive liar. However, he did keep his word, was the perfect gentleman, showing me the sights of San Francisco. Now, I don't have time to tell you here all the things that happened that made me change my mind and try acid with him. Finally, it was hearing Grace Slick sing White Rabbit at the Fillmore that decided me to feed my head. So here I am sitting in this hammock, Seymour beside me. We washed down our acid, Owsley's finest. They look like Bayer aspirins with Pepsi Cola straight from the bottle. He said I wouldn't feel anything for a while. I should just lie back and try to relax. I leaned back in the hammock, closed my eyes. The sense of pine, honeysuckle, roses combined, bathing me in sweetness. The birds in the trees sang the notes of honky-tonk woman in perfect harmony. The air grew warmer and warmer. I slipped off my dress. My body got loose, light as a feather. I opened my eyes. Seymour is naked above me, his face glistening with sweat, his little erection pointing straight at my snatch.
So sad.
I couldn't help myself. I jumped back. I shut my eyes tight. I tried to relax and let the bird song take me. I tried. When I opened my eyes again, Seymour was gone. It was James Dean, with his beautiful East of Eden face smiling above me, poised to enter. I spread my legs wide. We fit together, yang and yin and yang, in and out and in. Yang and yin, in and out and in. We were flowing, dazzling, mainspring, bobbling, mellowing, easy does it, marbling, in and out, perfect in rhythm with the leaves in the trees and the waves of the seas.
Wow.
Sometime later, I opened my eyes again. Seymour was sitting beside me drinking Pepsi. You like that, he said. Now we can be together forever. Somehow, I found the right words. Seymour, it was not about us. It was bigger than us, stronger than us. We were only part of the flow, the yang-yin, the yin-yang of consciousness, the yin-yang of consciousness that is the will to live. It's everywhere. Seymour, we don't see each other, we don't need each other. Seymour didn't see it that way. He refused to drive me to the airport that night to catch the red-eye back to New York. So I used the Institute's telephone and called a taxi.
All right.